Friday, campers, welcome to the show. It's time for some Midnight's Edge in the morning. Whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, where you is, welcome to the show. With us, as always, is the boss man, Andre. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. I am excited and elated. I've had a super productive day, and it's only about to get better now when I'm live with my good friends here at the panel, plus all you awesome people out there watching.
Indeed, we have with us today. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's always wonderful to be here with you both on a Friday.
Is that like a spider web thing on your shirt, or what is the pattern there?
It's like I got it from Galaxy's Edge. It's a dark side Force user shirt.
Okay.
Very cool. And you make it look smashing and riveting as you do everything.
Okay, I kind of see it now.
Much.
I looked at like almost like a Spider-Man spider web thing. Like, okay, now I see it. Okay. Oh, cool.
Thank you.
All right. And good morning and welcome everybody in the chat. Looks like we got some super chats already we're going to get into, but let's say hello to some of the other people we got here. We got Brian W. here. We got Silver Nova. Darth Maul is in the chat. Speaking of Siths, says Friday again comes around quicker than we think. Well, in the summertime, it does seem to do that. We got Sander Hammerslag in the chat. We got Darren Hughes here. Welcome. We got Dr. Dragon. Natasha's here swinging a wrench around, so be careful around her. She might hit you with it.
We got and Dr. also Jordy is here and also
Jordy,
smashing that wrench around. So
Dr.
Everyone, and thanks to our mods for doing awesome.
Yes,
indeed. And then we have Matthew W. Morgan King's here. STR Red Wolf, who's surprised that we're on time. Yes. Arasaka is here. Cosmic Vader's here. Will Bloom's here. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. We also have the one, the only, Rod Thunderheart. Did that not change my voice? Probably not. Here we go. Rod Thunderheart. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, that was something completely different right away.
Now I probably sound a little better too. So there you go.
Yeah.
And we also have a super sticker right off the bat for speaking of Dr. Long Dongler, who said, let's see here what he sent us. He sent us I can get my thing to catch up. Thumbs up. Thank you so much for that.
Of course, everyone else can see what it is, but
we can't. Yeah. But with that, let's start at the top. We had a couple of super chats before we even got started today. Wow, you guys are coming in early. Northeastern Man says, while I'm in the minority that liked but was still disappointed with season 8, if this and House of the Dragon are great, it will go a long way in rebuilding the legacy of Game of Thrones. It has Zaslav written all over it. Okay, so
the Northeastern Man is, of course, referring to our main story, our first main story.
So why don't you go ahead and break that down real quick?
Game of Thrones sequel series, and we're going to get into that real shortly here. So just hold on to that thought. But I do agree, it does have Zaslav's fingerprints.
Well, I was actually going to say we don't have a ton of super chats right now, and the other ones have a little bit more to do with other things. So if you want to kind of bring us up to speed what's going on with the Game of Thrones real quick here, we might as well break into that right now.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we can actually get right into that, and then we'll deal with all the other topics. Before that, everyone, please smash that like, help share this stream, because Lord knows that this platform ain't gonna do that. The news here, this was actually broken by the Hollywood Reporter. I'm going to bring that up on screen here as we go through the gist of this story. Now, of course, since it's me and I'm going to boomer this as usual, it's going to take a couple of seconds to get it here. Here we go. So the story then is
you did that all by yourself.
Yeah, I'm good, am I not?
I'm impressed.
The story then from the Hollywood Reporter is that Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel series is in development at HBO. And Kit Harington is attached to reprise his fan favorite role in the first potential Thrones project to take place after the events of the original series. Because remember, they are working on several other HBO, I say, but on HBO, they're working on several other Game of Thrones spin-off series as well, but every single one of them is a prequel one way or the other. This one is a sequel. This would, for all intents and purposes, be season 9. And then the story reads, you know nothing about HBO's post-Game of Thrones plans. The network has entered into an early development on its first sequel to its blockbuster fantasy drama, a live-action spin-off series centered on the fan-favorite character of Jon Snow. Kit Harington is attached to reprise his role, blah, blah, blah. In Thrones' 8th and final season, Jon Snow discovered his true name was Aegon Targaryen, a potential heir to the Iron Throne. In the series finale, he was exiled from Westeros and journeyed north of the Wall with the wildlings to leave his old life behind. So that's how that ended for him. Then it goes on to talk about what he's been doing since completing Game of Thrones, which is not that exciting. And then it continues. The development signals an intriguing new direction in HBO's handling of author George R.R. Martin's fantasy universe. A move not unlike Disney Plus's management of its Star Wars and Marvel brands, where the streamer has found success launching character-focused sequel series such as WandaVision and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And that is how you know that this is still the Access Media, very much so, and a Hollywood publication, because no one else would write any such thing. Perhaps most boldly from a creative standpoint, the project would upend Thrones' final season as the last word on the fates of the surviving characters in HBO's most popular and Emmy-winning series of all time. In theory, the project could open the door for other surviving characters from the Thrones universe to reappear, such as Arya Stark, Sansa Stark, and Brienne of Tarth. This development news means there are now 7 Thrones projects in the works, in addition to the upcoming House of the Dragon prequel series, which debuts August 21st. Dragon tells the story of a civil war within House Targaryen set about 200 years before the events of Thrones. And then it says HBO's other live-action prequels in various stages of development are 10,000 Ships, with showrunner Amanda Siegel, 9 Voyages, Drunken Egg, and then there's 3 animated prequel projects. So prequels across the board, apart from this, which then is a sequel. So, since this effectively would be season 9, how excited are you for a continuation rather than a prequel of the Game of Thrones verse?
I'm very excited for it because I didn't watch the last season because of what everybody said, how terrible and disappointed they were in it. So, you know, I'm almost thinking if they make another season, I might not have to watch the disappointment, or after I watch the new season, then I can go back and see what happened and not be as disappointed. I don't like to watch a series and enjoy it and then have the last season be disappointing. So this might save me from a lot of grief.
Tom, I know that you are not big into Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen the 8th season or the 7th or the 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st. In fact, I have not seen one single episode. I avoided drinking the Kool-Aid on this show. Oh. And gladly, because when I heard what happened to it, yeah, like it was like, so no, I'm not, I don't really give a shit. I feel bad for those who were fans of the show and it ended the way it did. As far as this goes, I know the character's kind of popular, but just judging by a lot of the reactions in our chat, it doesn't sound like a lot of people are all that enthralled or excited with the idea of this. But then again, has Kit Harington really had much of a career past Game of Thrones? I mean,
well, he was in that stupid Marvel movie, the Eternals.
Oh, there was that thing.
Yeah.
So no, like as far as this goes, it's probably a step in the right direction for HBO Max and the franchise, but I wonder if they could even pull it off at this point. I don't even know if there's a fan base for it like there used to be. I know there's fans, but I mean, I know they're probably worried about it and because they got burnt on the last season. So I don't know.
That is certainly what the chat is saying, because here's the thing: season 8 of actually people like to blame season 8, but in reality, it was season 7 and 8 in particular.
I was gonna say a lot of people say about starting about season 4 or 5.
Exactly, I was about to say the rot set in season 5 and 6, and then it really went off the rails in season 7 and 8. And in this case, it is so easy to pinpoint the blame. It was Dumb and Dumber. It was Benioff and Weiss. It was only them, and there's no one else to blame. I mean, usually you have a whole team of executives and writers and producers that work together to make something that should have been great to something that ended up being absolutely horrible. But in this case, it's really just Benioff and Weiss and no one else. It is that simple. They completely and utterly butchered it for no real reason other than that they wanted to rush it to the end so they can go and do their Star Wars trilogy, which they didn't get to do.
Which is ironic because I was going to say, because the botched ending of Game of Thrones cost them that. So yeah, that was kind of irony, I guess, in and of itself.
Yeah, the two of them have never been heard about since, and we don't know who is writing this. We don't know who is producing this, but I put money on that it's not going to be Benioff and Weiss.
Yeah,
and
I'm
also
agree with that
we don't have any showrunner or any writers attached. That tells me that the super chat that we got before the show, which suggested that this has David Zaslav written all over it, I think that's probably correct. I would not be surprised, because the previous administration, all they wanted to do was prequels, and prequels have the problem that they all lead straight to seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is the first series, by going beyond that actually has the chance to, well, it's not going to fix anything, because if it was really fixing something, then it would have to go back and it would have to redo everything.
I was going to say,
but what it can
this could
do,
Picard this show too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, exactly. But what this can do, if they get competent people doing this, they can continue the story in a worthwhile manner. It's going to be like, yeah, okay, fine. There were a couple of bad seasons in there, but now the story can continue because it didn't end right the last time. So this actually has the potential, I think, if they do this right. This could be the one way to salvage the brand, because I don't care how good House of Dragon might be. It's not going to do anything because it's still going to lead straight to season 7 and 8. This is something that can recontextualize season 7 and 8. Here they can go back and have like a new Raven suddenly give flashbacks that changes everything, and if not that, then just continue the story in a more intriguing manner. It's their best way forward. It's the only way that the salvage or the franchise can possibly salvaged. Now, maybe it's too late, maybe it can't be salvaged, but this is their only shot. I would say that.
And on that note, Sean, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and Sean Bus says for $10.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button there.
Yeah.
Sean, let's get Shauna's back up here. We'll grab the super chats that have to do with a specific topic.
And Sean the Bus says for $10. Thank you so much for the support. Jon Snow's ending was the one part of season 8 I thought was perfect. Revisiting that seems like a huge disservice to the emotional impact of saying farewell to him. Goodbye should mean goodbye. And yeah, I see what you're saying there. And he got a decent send-off, whereas no one else did. And I think that's exactly the reason why this is effectively season 9 focused in on him. And I can almost guarantee you, this isn't so much like this is a Jon Snow sequel series in name only. This is going to be season 9. And they're going to focus on him because that is the one character that wasn't utterly butchered. This can be him becoming the king of the North, continuing the drama, having to maybe deal with that stupid, incompetent king who was chosen just because he has the best story, but no qualifications beyond that. I mean, boom, right there. There's your setup.
It sounds good.
Yeah. I do see the worry, though, but honestly, goodbye should mean goodbye when it's a proper goodbye. But when he was literally the only character to get a proper send-off and everyone else were humiliated big time. Hell, we could even do like another series with what is beyond Westeros, explore the rest of the world. I mean, there's so many opportunities. Game of Thrones was their golden goose, and they killed it. And this could be the only shot they have at reviving it. So it's worth it. And if it doesn't work, well, what's the worst case scenario? Could it be worse than season 8?
No.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I see that this is something I think has the potential to be exciting.
On that note, Hyperguyver says, or asks rather, will the dwarf be recast as a magical creature? Yes. I think Dinklage did that to himself.
Yeah, well, if Disney has anything to do with it, but here's the thing: that Dinklage hasn't gotten all that many roles, so I'm sure he's not going to be very difficult to ask to get back again.
Yeah, he done fucked that up for everybody. I'll see how bad I can mess this name up. Andrzej Medelsky.
Sounds perfect.
I don't think that was too bad.
And that's 20 Czechoslovakian. What's their currency there?
That's chess kuna. Is that it?
Kuna. Okay.
I'm not sure if it's kuna. I know it's like it's. Kuna
I don't know if we've ever gotten
Croatia,
somebody from Czechoslovakia. Yeah. What is that?
I have to double check. I think it's chess kuna, but I'll.
This is the first time we've ever gotten this. So yeah, thank you for being here. Game of Thrones sequel and episode 1. I don't want it, Jon Snow.
Yes, it's Chess Corona. Chess Corona. Did I say Kuna? I meant Corona.
Corona. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Natasha says Corona. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that. That's awesome. I love it when we get people from new places here. Let's see here. Do we have any more about Game of Thrones? I know we had a couple more. David says the only way to make Game of Thrones spinoff good is if Andre narrated it. But I don't know if the Game of Thrones deserves his voice. This is true.
Oh, thank you.
Let's see here. And then Dash Attack says Game of Thrones has nothing to lose and everything to regain from trying to salvage the main series. I'm already coming up with ideas on the direction. Good move, Zaz.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm thinking too.
If he has anything to do with it, that is, yeah.
I would not be surprised. I mean, just consider this. Before Zaslav, the only thing that they were announcing and putting in development was prequel after prequel after prequel, and I saw absolutely no interest because of season 7 and 8. Whereas this thing right here, I really think this is the only shot they have at fixing the franchise, because it can go beyond the sore point, and if it's able to bring people back, recontextualize, make it good again, so that season 7 and 8, that they just become some bad seasons that you can move beyond from. If they're able to do that, you know what that means? Not only will they be able to get like new physical media sales of the whole Game of Thrones box set and stuff like that, suddenly there's going to be more interest in the prequels. I mean, this is the kind of gamble that's like, if you lose on it, you haven't really lost anything. But if you win, the upside is so much higher, because this is something that can save the entire franchise. Mm-hmm. Because, yeah, they have like 7 different prequels in development, and I guarantee you none of them is going to do anything. This is the one thing that can change all that.
I thought half of those were already discarded anyway.
Yeah, half of them were. And
then Fluffy Panda says, Dumb and Dumber effed up Game of Thrones so bad, George still doesn't want to touch his book series anymore. Much love, Tom, Andre, and Arum. Is it
You
that,
know,
or is he just lazy? No, I'm just kidding.
no, actually, I think that has something to do with it. I
Partially
think
right,
that,
because I think that's the whole thing, is they were going off of basically an outline from him, and I think now he's like, fuck, like this is what I was going to do, and it sucks, because that's, I think, what you put in your video back when, from my recollection is correct, and that was that this is pretty much what George was going to do anyway. So if that's the
yeah, the
case,
problem
then
is
yeah.
that they will basically have ruined his books before they even come out. So if he gave them the plan, then he sees that fuck they used it in such a bad way that I can't use it now. He might have been demotivated by what happened. He can have been creative.
Well, maybe they did it exactly as he wrote it up too. That's my point. It doesn't matter either way, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, here's like the thing. They could have done it exactly as he wrote it, but that doesn't help because the build-up
That's my
wasn't
point, and
there.
it was basically botched. So now you're like looking at it like, so what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. So I really think that their handling of the series even ruined the books. I think
That's
that
what that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
And I think that we at least would have had the first of the two remaining books now, if not for that. I mean, he's like already written thousands upon thousands of pages, and we still don't have anything. And yeah, it's obviously he doesn't have the interest. He has some kind of, if not writer's block, then he doesn't want to do it. So
I
that
also
kind of
think
burnout will do that.
I also think that he's going to be subject to so much more criticism now than he ever was before. And so perhaps he has finished it, but it's not worth it to him to bring anything forward because of what he's experienced, or is fearful of what he may experience.
Very possible. Very, very possible.
And he really doesn't even have to. I mean, who's he obligated to other than, the fans? I mean,
Yeah.
Unless he's got a contract for it and the book company's banging on his door, then,
Exactly.
he really has no obligation. But yeah, Michael Miller says, I don't want sequel. I want 7 and 8 remade.
I think a lot of people,
want that.
And honestly, I think that the boldest thing that Zaslow could do, and possibly the most successful, would have been to remake season 7 and 8. And if I was him, I would very seriously consider doing that.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is the course of the action that they're taking, and I do have to say that outside of remaking season 7 and 8, that just may be the best course they can do.
Indeed. And then Dark King says, back from seeing Top Gun with mates, we thought it was at least equal to the original. We wondered how many sequels have matched beaten the first. Well, that's debatable. I mean, the age-old debate goes into movies like Empire Strikes Back and Godfather 2. Terminator 2. Those are probably the three that come to mind right away when people talk about sequels that are as good as or excel the original.
The
Gremlins
original
2.
Spider-Man series,
Spider-Man 2. Yeah. There's 5 examples right there that people usually jump to right away.
And of course, there's going to be more, but there's not going to be a definitive answer. Because,
no. Winter Soldier is another good example.
Oh yeah.
Even though I do feel like the first I almost call it Doctor Strange, Captain America doesn't get enough credit, but yeah, because the first one's actually one of my favorite Marvel movies. But no, there's plenty. But yeah, a lot of people have said Top Gun 2 is just as good or better than the original. Dark King also says Joker as a musical, Sweeney Todd, Clockwork Orange. Yeah, see, this is funny because we were talking about this last night, Andre. At first, your reaction to this news that they're in heavy talks with Lady Gaga and to be in Joker 2, and it's going to be a musical. Everybody's having a knee-jerk reaction to it, and I did too. And my first gut reaction is, well, that's a dumb idea. But then we were talking about it last night, and the more you think about it, and that's the thing, as I said, first of all, we got to kind of take our minds out of this whole idea that when we first think of musicals, of course, the first things that come to mind are like Sound of Music, right? Stuff like that. These classic Hollywood type musicals. But we're forgetting that there's been musicals like Rocky Horror Picture Show and, stuff like that. And even people forget that the Blues Brothers is technically a musical, right? So there's ways you can do these things. And I'm imagining the musical sequences are just going to be more or less Harley descending into madness, right? It's going to be in her fantasy world. And like Script and I talked about, you could even have Harley's character be kind of like, obsessed with like classic Hollywood musicals. So when she does start going mad, that kind of plays into the whole, idea of it all. So I don't know what you two thought about that, but it was really kind of, I got a chuckle out of Boss Logic's art that he dropped. And I got to tell you, there's no way the timing of this that he didn't have some kind of direction to go on, because this came out the same day they talked that the news about Lady Gaga and the musical came out. So I have a feeling that this was, let's say, commissioned by Warner Brothers.
I also have to say that the idea of a Joker musical, the knee-jerk reaction is this sounds insane. But this is, to me,
but so is the Joker
gamble, just like the first Joker movie was. I mean, because it's an out-of-continuity thing, which takes cues from Taxi Driver and from King of Comedy, and they were able to make a masterpiece out of it. This thing right here, it's not going to be the exact same thing all over again. They're doing a different direction, and yeah, as you say, if they use the musical sequences to illustrate the descent into madness, I mean, this idea is so crazy, it just might work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Autumn.
No, it's okay. I do love the thought of Rocky Horror. That was the first thing I thought of, because it felt like it was appropriate for Rocky Horror. I would want it has, well, it's going to be set, what, 70s, 80s? That's the time period that Joker.
I think the first one's early 80s. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm guessing Rocky Horror would be appropriate for this somehow, this crazy setup between the two of them, and but they have to go through an even crazier journey. So Rocky Horror style would be perfect for this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm vaguely excited by the idea here.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not so much excited as I'm intrigued, and I'm willing to give it a shot, because I ate crow on the first one. I didn't think it was going to be good. A lot of the stuff we were hearing from behind the scenes didn't really enthuse me, and it did make a couple of mistakes I didn't want it to make. But outside of that, I had to admit that even though it was a complete ripoff of Taxi Driver, and I mean complete ripoff, it still managed to work. And I'm willing to give them a shot this time out. I'm not going to jump to the oh, this is going to suck automatically just because it's possibly a musical, because I think they can work with that. And when I bring up like Rocky Horror, I mean, the tone is like, there's a lot of movies where we don't necessarily jump to the idea right away that they're a musical, right? And I think that this crew, being Todd Phillips, Joaquin Phoenix, and so on, can work with that. And yeah, again, to be clear, Boss Logic is a fan artist, but he is commissioned sometimes by studios. And when this dropped the way it did, I have a feeling, and this is just me speculating, that he was commissioned by the studio to do this to try and help persuade Lady Gaga to sign on to this. Because, I mean, if a lot of people forget that she was a big deal with that It's Stars Born remake thing. I mean, that's why I think they want her. That's going to help elevate this movie.
Absolutely.
She's also proven that she can do horror. She was in American Horror Story Hotel. And I thought that was a fantastic season for American Horror Story. So she's proven that she can do that type of horror situation, any kind of horror or gore style kind of shows. So, I think she set a great tone in it. And people were skeptical when she was in that film. When she was in that TV series. But if you've ever watched it, you will see that she adds a sexual charge to it that I believe that the next Joker could use it. I think it could propel it into another realm. But I hope if she is in it, there will be some sort of sexual tension between the two of them, and it's not.
I'm sure there will be.
Well, I'm sure she's going to be in it.
Yeah, I mean,
well, here's my thing with her is,
it is true that together they're like a Sid and Nancy, but
exactly, yeah. You can do a Sid and Nancy, you can do a Bonnie and Clyde type thing, exactly.
But there does need to be some kind of sex in this so that the Joker kind of progresses as a story.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of sex scenes within the confines of his and her mind, independently of each other, so that you can have the sex scenes play over twice in two different ways with different music to each. I mean,
Well,
opportunities are endless.
and I mean, people are like, first of all, like I said, I've got to remind people that Lady Gaga is an actress. And yeah, you pointed out as well, she was on American Horror Story. There was the Stars Born moment. And sure, look-wise, maybe Margot Robbie may have the look for Harley Quinn better, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Lady Gaga might end up playing a better Harley because I believe she's from Brooklyn or New York to begin with. And it just kind of fits her persona, right? Like I see this as a good fit for the character. And I heard early on it was probably going to be Harley. And when I saw that title, that's the first thing I said is it's Harley. And everybody's like, oh, I don't know about that. I'm like, no, it's Harley. It's gonna, because he's in the asylum. It's going to be mostly about him, wooing her. And it is. It's going to be a twisted romance, which is, perfect for her, right? Like, I mean,
it fits right in with her musical.
That's what I was just saying.
Well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a perfect match.
And it has to be edgy. So this is something. It's going to be new for a new side of her that we haven't seen. And of course, I don't know. He doesn't have to sing. Joaquin doesn't have to sing.
No, but he was in Walk the Line. So
sung before,
he can sing,
and has learned how to sing, but he's not necessarily known for that. And that might actually add some sense of realism to this, because this is not a Broadway musical per se, and we want the Joker to be the Joker. The Joker is, this gentleman is a unique person, but if he was like the greatest singer in the world, it would seem a little unrealistic. Let him be who he is and still sing, and it will only complement Lady Gaga, who is a fabulous singer. So this could be very interesting between the two of them, rather than when she was in the film with Bradley, who sings very well. Right. I'm not quite sure whether I necessarily want to see Joaquin Phoenix be the perfect singer. Just let him be who he is, and she will love him in this story for whoever he is.
That's a great point. I mean, he did okay as Johnny Cash. He wasn't, as far as I was concerned, he's good enough. I think there's other people who should have played the part, but that's neither here nor there. The singing was fine. I love this though. James Bell in a way, caught in a Batman romance. Ha 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 ha. My Joker face, my Joker face. We can do this all day.
So we're even having fun joking about it, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good sign. And hopefully they'll deliver with something that's expressive. And knowing Lady Gaga, she doesn't just throw herself into garbage films or productions. Her tours are phenomenal. So far, the movies have been phenomenal. The last film I saw her in was the Gucci film, and she was phenomenal in that too. There was no singing. So I think that between the two of them, it'll be incredible.
I'm inclined to believe so as well. I think they're going to be absolutely fire on screen. And I've also seen Lady Gaga in concert, and I can't think of a better person for a musical interpretation of Harley Quinn than Lady Gaga. This project right here, the more we talk about it right now, actually, the more excited I get for it. I just hope that they're going to go with use the music to illustrate the descent into madness.
Exactly,
and
yeah.
Probably with the title like Folie à Deux, that's exactly what they're doing.
I believe so.
And I like the strange and unusual sense of all of this. It does feel strange and unusual. And, this is a different Joker, so let it be strange and unusual.
Yeah, and that's another thing is people are bringing up, well, does this mean Margot Robbie's done? Well, I think her contract is up. I think she either has one more appearance or her contract is up, one of the two. I can't remember which, but no, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's done with the role. It just, this is, as we pointed out, this is a completely other universe, or however you want to put it.
That's exactly right. This is a different universe altogether. For those that don't know, we had a video on this that we published a few hours ago.
Yeah.
That this platform did nothing at all to promote. So do check out that video. And basically what we say there is that this is a completely different universe. This movie has no bearing on the other Harley Quinn. If they want to continue using Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn in the Earth 1 style movies, which they probably will, they're going to do that. And this one has zero bearing on it. I mean, right now we have, 3 different Batman running around?
Technically, yes.
Yeah, I can do 2 Jokers.
Yeah.
Or we also have 2 Jokers, actually. We do have 2 Jokers, so yeah, we can have 2 Harley Quinns to go with that.
Actually, you have 3 if you count the one that was technically in Batman but cut.
You're right. Yeah, we do have 3 Jokers running around as well.
So I can see why.
Saslaw, he has such a clean up job here.
Oh yeah, you have no idea.
On screen and behind the camera, so that behind the camera is the freaking worst thing. So let's.
I'm sure he'd trade each and every one of those for one Ezra problem, because that's we're gonna get into here shortly. Because nobody wants that shit on their plate right now. That is
but to
bad
summarize
news,
the Joker thing, I just want to highlight this.
Yeah.
So what Andre is saying, it's 1,000,000 to 1 chance, but it might just work. Or to paraphrase Dumb and Dumber, since we were on that earlier. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yes, 1,000,000 to 1 is a chance. And,
I'm just not gonna count out Todd Phillips this time.
No,
right?
Never count out Todd Phillips.
Because I did last time and I ate crow, and gladfully so, because I enjoyed the film a lot more than I thought I would. And the performance and the whole package. So in this case, I'd rather be disappointed and not in the end. I guess that's the best way I can put it, because I think that this could work. I really do. When I heard Lady Gaga, like I said, at first I'm like, and then I'm like, and I just kept thinking about it. And like I said, we got to that conversation we had last night. And after that, I think I was kind of convinced that this might have a shot. And the Master Clockwork, go ahead and read that if you want to, Andre.
Yeah, it says for $5. Thank you so much. My knee-jerk reaction to how they're describing Joker 2 is another sucker punch. Do you want another sucker punch? I mean, done well. Well, I never saw the first sucker punch, so I really couldn't say. But I guess that if done well, as you say, there might be something to that.
Well, what I was trying to say is, I mean, I'm enjoying the excitement for it. So, like, I mean, if I'm wrong in the end, I guess I'm wrong. But that's kind of where I'm coming from with that.
And another thing is, I hope it's set in New York. And if it is, let's say that time period, we've got to see 42nd Street. We've got to see the way it used to look. I want to see all that good stuff too. And I think that it's the perfect setting for something different like this.
I agree. It could be something very exciting there.
And I don't think we had any more on the Joker, so we'll go back to the top of the charts, let's say. Bridge Burner Boyo sends in, I think that's Bulgarian, was it Lev?
Bulgarian Lev, which in Bulgaria begins with N.
All right. Will you guys look at how Vince Vaughn from WWE at the age of 76 got Me Too'd right after the movement got a reality check with the JD versus AH trial? I'm going to go on a limb and say Vince McMahon. What did I say?
Yeah, you said Vince Vaughn. That's someone else.
Did I really say Vince Vaughn? Holy shit. I meant Vince McMahon. Yeah. Not likely. We don't really get into the wrestling side of things, and I don't think I've ever heard Andre ever even talk about wrestling before, so... unless one of the Espanol guys is really, really into it and is willing to write a script, not likely. What do you say, Andre?
No, I don't think so. I was into wrestling when I was a kid, and we got it on Sky Channel from the UK, like the real golden era with Hulk Hogan and what's his name again, like Ric Flair
Roddy
and stuff like
Piper. Is that who you mean, Andre?
Yeah, no, I meant Ric Flair.
I'm sorry.
Don't be. But anyway, like I know nothing about it, so I would be writing it from a point of complete ignorance. So no.
Yeah,
it's
my knowledge
if
goes.
Someone else wants to do something with it, then if the Espanol guys can throw something up, maybe. But if not, no, that's beyond what we do.
Honestly, with wrestling, you have to touch the other person oftentimes. So how do you handle that? I mean, you have no choice but to touch the person, and you can't always completely rehearse where you may be touching them in a ring. So it's very hard to kind of make comments on this, because it's unpredictable where a person may or may not be held on to.
Well, and I don't know the circumstances around
the
this,
circumstances, but I kind of don't think that's it.
I was going to say, and in this case, I'm still willing to believe. See, here's the thing. Vince McMahon, he's kind of like, from what I know of him, he's kind of like the president of one of the biggest IPs in the world right now, besides Marvel. I mean, wrestling is huge, and he kind of has his own little domain. Now that can either spawn some accusations that are either salacious and bullshit, just trying to get a handout, or it could just be the chickens coming home to roost. That's the thing with these kind of situations. I don't know enough about it, so yeah.
I'm not qualified to have an opinion on the matter. So we move on to the next, and thank you for the support.
Yeah, I just wish I could answer you better than that. Tina Bojan's here and says she's so excited and feels the need to tell the world that she's seen Jackson Browne live in concert tonight for the first time. Well, Doctor My Eyes, Tina.
Yes.
Dr. My Eyes.
Awesome, fantastic. Hope
He's my all-time favorite singer-songwriter.
Enjoy it, Tina. It's gonna be
enjoy. That's brilliant.
Mr. Tickle Trunk says, Andre, please say.
I have to read this. Sexy, sick, sleek, swiftly southward.
This isn't Comics Division. He's not going to say it like this.
Yeah, no, you want me to say it. You're just going to get it how I normally say it. That's
kind of the joke on Comics Division since he got the Invisalign. He says those S's with that. And so, they like to make him say the tongue twisters. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, also, Andre, please. Here you go.
Fuda hurdy-gurdy fluffy muffin.
I think he really wants hurdy-gurdy fluffy muffin.
Actually, I can't do that. I mean, that's Tom has to do that.
One thing we do is get rid of Ezra Miller.
Yeah, I can say like a real sentence in Norwegian and call Cthulhu upon us all, but yeah.
DC go problem. One problem. Ezra Miller.
That's actually funny. Like, yesterday I was like interviewed for like a Swedish Norwegian blog, not blog, but like podcast, and I did the interview in Norwegian, and it was so unusual to suddenly be like talking in this equipment not in English, like weirded me out almost. But anyway,
did you keep dipping into English or?
I actually had to use like a few phrases in English because I couldn't think of a Norwegian version of them.
See, this is what Mr. Tickle Trunk wanted, yes. He wanted some Swedish chef. Baby. SuperChat. I don't want to do the whole thing.
It's Friday, though.
Nobody would hear it and understand it.
Callum Lyle says for $5 Australian. I don't think Andy grew up watching that Lightyear movie. And this is from someone who literally grew up watching the Buzz Lightyear cartoon. And yeah, for those that don't know, like the setup for Pixar's Lightyear movie, which is trying to be a success in theaters and kind of failing at it right now, the setup is that this is the movie that Andy saw in 1995, which spurred the events of the original Toy Story, because that's when he got the Buzz Lightyear toy. To which all I have to say is that, whoa, that movie was really progressive for 1995. Great CGI too.
Well, don't they have to fudge with the timeline anyway? Because Andy would be like technically 30 in Toy Story 3 or whatever.
I don't know.
When did the third one come out? Because he was like.
Well, the third one was like 10 years ago or something.
That's what I'm saying. But you guys got to remember, it's been almost 30 years since 1995.
Yeah. But the third one, that would kind of like fit, because in 1995 he would have been less than 10 years old. And then him graduating college and moving away from home at the end of the third movie around the 2010 somewhat. That about fits.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of fit. Yeah.
I was thinking at the time they were off, but...
No, they're not off there.
2010 is when it came out, according to Dr. Dragon.
Exactly. There you go. I mean,
Okay.
that's perfectly in line.
And then who still has toys at 30, David? I'm going to plead the fifth on that and move along. Lord Kamina says, in Swedish, the word gutrunk means to cry while wanking. The fact that they actually have a word for that is a real tearjerker.
Here, I just want to emphasize that I'm Norwegian, and I will not be held responsible for what the Swedes have word for.
Did I say that correctly?
I wasn't too bad. I would imagine it must be like gratrunka if it's spelled.
That's pretty
correctly.
close. That's what I said. Yeah,
it's not a word I can say I'm familiar with. But again, this is where I emphasize Norwegian, not Swedish.
And then McKinney Draws is in the house. How you doing? Says good morning, Mead. Hashtag McKinney Raid. Well, glad to have you here. Thank you for being here, friend. House of Trady says, Hail Midnight's Edge. Heard this Deadpool Wade Wilson as an assassin merc would never use his real name, so using music both like Wade is actually Van Wilder. I don't know if that works exactly, but it might.
If you say so, I'll go with that.
I mean, I wouldn't give Van Wilder a gun, but then again, I wouldn't give Deadpool a gun. So I guess that does match. Yeah, there you go. Mr. Tickle Trunk says, Andre, but are they still skilled enough to Cobra Kai Game of Thrones?
That depends on who. And we don't know who's going to be doing this. And I think that's because they don't know. I think that this whole Game of Thrones season 9, this spin-off series, I think this is Saslaw or someone in Saslaw's team saying, we need to fix this. We need to fix this brand. If we don't fix this by moving forward, all of the projects taking place in the past are dead. Money wasted, every single one of them. To fix this, we need to go forward. So let's announce it. We're moving forward. And then we'll see who is interested and comes to us. That's what I'm thinking they're doing.
I think another part of, to be able to Cobra Kai something, there has to have a test of time, right? And the farther we get from Game of Thrones, the less and less I see people actually interested in the franchise. It kind of reminds me of Avatar.
The problem is that it did such a number on it. If they wait 5 years, it's going to be dead completely. It's going to be dead forever.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like you only have and that's why I compared it to Avatar, right? Even though this new Avatar movie might end up being the biggest movie of all time, it just feels like, at first when Avatar came out, there was blue people at every convention. 2-3 years down the line, nobody even really gives a shit anymore. Kind of feels that way with Game of Thrones. When it first was like in that midst of it all, that's all anybody could talk about, and people couldn't get enough of it. But now after they botched that 8th season, I have seen zero interest in it anymore. I mean, I'm willing to bet that it kind of just died off completely as far as interest.
That's what I'm thinking. The only way they have forward is by literally going forward. That all of these prequel series, they're going to fail. All of them. This is the only shot the franchise has.
I mean, that's kind of sound, because that's kind of the problem we keep having with the Star Wars shows, is even if they're semi-decent, it's like, well, it still leads to The Last Jedi, so.
Exactly. I mean, that's a problem for them.
And as I said, they could always Picard this thing too, because I mean, there's already enough people who say that Jon Snow was already mistreated. So,
not enough that it can't be fixed.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but it could get worse. Is my point.
Yeah.
Yami Bliss says maybe R.R. Martin can take a page of the manga artist Clamp and make a story, but gives the novel one ending, while the series gets another, so fans can have an option. Well, if he does actually finish the book, I guarantee you. That's what's going to happen now.
100%.
That's probably what's taking him so goddamn long. That's what I'm thinking. If I had to take a guess on that one. And then let's see here. Brightest Day sent us $1. Doesn't say anything, but thank you so much, Brightest Day, for that. I appreciate it.
And then hamster food for it.
Yes, Darius Munchausen sends in some popcorn. Pop. Thank you so much. Kareen has been a member for 11 months, 1 month away from your year anniversary. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
And so has Aiken as well. So thank you so much for that.
Fantastic. Thank you, Aiken.
So in July, this time next month, you will be here for a year. And no, not today. He had some things he had to take care of, so he will not be with us today.
Our good friend Paul Chato, he will be back again next Friday, but today he had some other matters to attend. So yeah.
And Jason says, Tom, you need to get your hands on TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I'm not kidding. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Callum Lyle says, no, I'm kidding. I was playing it last night.
Yeah, like go and check out Midnight's Edge After Dark. Tom's been like live streaming. I have to say that game looks amazing. Why is that not
fun.
On the Sega Mega Drive?
It should be.
That is the Turtles game I always wanted on the Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The only complaint I have is I wish, because there's a Cobra Kai game out that's almost exactly like it. And in the Cobra Kai game, as you keep collecting members of either Cobra Kai or the Miyagi-Do, depending on which side you decide to take in the beginning, you can switch out the characters as you're playing. That's my only complaint, because they give us all these new characters because we've never gotten April O'Neil or Casey Jones or Splinter as playable characters before. But I can't switch out in the middle of the game. Like, I want to play a different character. But yeah, I'll have to try and find a way to get around that. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Cal Lyle says, the She-Ra reboot freaks know who I am now. They didn't like a sketch I did of Hordak snapping reboot and trap his neck after trying to give him a hug. Ooh, oh boy. Good luck with that.
It was funny when I described that series to Tom, and he was like, because Tom, you haven't seen it, but I saw like the first season and a half, and I'm not going to repeat the exact nature of our conversation because it would get us both cancelled instantly. But I will say, you were like asking how it was, and you were like giving examples. Is this character like that? Is this character like that? And I said, no, not quite like that, but like this, which is 10 times worse than you imagined. So yeah, good times.
It sounded like one of those really weird, seedy Reddits where they post a bunch of fucking fan art and shit.
It's like Spock/Kirk fiction, the whole thing, only in animation.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. Yes. Ankin says, I want George to release his last books as part of his estate after he's gone. You may get your wish. I was going to say, you may just get your wish on that.
That's most likely what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he ain't getting no younger. Richard Burnham says, do you think maybe Chapek is going to use potential flop of Lightyear to clean house up over at Pixar? That's a good question. Yeah. Lightyear did not open very well last night. It only did 5 million, which is not very good for a Disney Pixar flick like that. Especially it's their Disney's big summer picture, basically, because they don't have any Marvel movie coming out until Love and Thunder at this point, which is what, 2-3 weeks away yet?
Yeah, it's no more than that. And yeah, I think that Chapek is going to latch on to anything that can be leveraged to get the people subverting the company out of there. So I would not
going to help that. It's not allowed a bunch of countries because of the gay.
That makes it even worse because then it's underperforming in the US. And last I counted, it was banned in 18 countries around the world, like 14, 16.
So that's really going to hurt its box office.
Somewhere between 10 and 20 countries. And some of these countries include Saudi Arabia and Qatar, where there actually is a lot of money, and they do contribute a whole hell of a lot to the box office.
And considering how bad they fucked up in Kanto, they kind of needed this one. Because I don't think Red did the greatest either for them.
Yeah, but unlike Encanto, which won awards, Lightyear is not going to win any awards.
You're right. That's a very good point out of them. Yeah, and that basically won those and got nominated in spite of itself. But yeah. Miss Chick says Andre is right. The only way to salvage it would be do what Cobra Kai did about the third Karate Kid movie, explaining Silver's over-the-top personality with cocaine use. I tortured a kid. That was one of the best. I was so hopped up on cocaine. Then we got Headspace who says, Andre, any news about Conan on Netflix? I hope that now that they are changing their tune about wokeness, it may move forward. Well, it was already prior to this, but has there been any movement? Have we heard anything new?
What I can say, Because what I can say, I know that there was a struggle behind the scenes there. I know that there were some individuals who wanted to subvert it, like other things have been subverted. But remember, the people running Conan, they don't stand behind that. They know they have to get this right. So they did not accept that. There was discussions had. And my understanding is that what you are seeing right now, how they're like purging the wokeness, this is all to Conan's benefit. I know that the new showrunner, or not showrunner, but like the creative person that they have in charge of it is working on scripts, working on concepts, working on a whole package that they have to go and pitch and get like the final green light. But from what I understand, everything is nice and progress, and the battle for allowing Conan to be Conan more or less has been won. That's my understanding of it. And for those that doubt it, just look at all of the purging that's happening. That's not because of Conan, but because that is happening, the calls that were within Netflix to do what they did to He-Man Revelations, it's gone. They know they can't do that there. It's my understanding.
Well, we got to remember
I'm very
that
excited to see what's going to happen there.
That Revelations also has other parties involved too. We got to remember that, and the same thing here goes for this. And the parties on the other end are very important as well.
Exactly. And in the case of Conan, there is a corporate defender that fights tooth and nail for the integrity of the character there. So I'm genuinely excited for the prospects and for what they might do there.
Because what you have is
positive.
Like Tencent or whatever the name of the company is. Yeah, they are a Chinese-owned company, but we also have like a keeper of Conan in, Frederick Malmberg.
Yeah.
So he is kind of there on the ground to try and do his best with whatever power he has to make sure Conan stays as true to character as he can.
And you know what I understand is that when he was alone, when he was running the company, he only had so much influence. But when he sold to Funcom, who are in turn owned by Tencent, and he started fighting, and he told them, guys, I need some help here. And he got it. He got the power of Funcom.
So basically, I see what you're saying there. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
That apparently did wonders. And from what I understand, things are progressing very nicely there now.
And Joe Pat says, in honor of Lightyear movie, let's all watch the myriad of essays on YouTube about how Toy Story 4 sucks. Actually, what movie proves it's just how soulless Disney is now and why? Yeah, Toy Story 4 is kind of the beginning of the end for Pixar. I don't even remember how much Lasseter really had to do with that film, because I know that was one of the last ones that he was anywhere near. And let's be real, that's the bottom line with the whole Pixar problem. You got rid of the one person who was Pixar. Like it just, you can't do that. I mean, he was already stretched thin enough dealing with both sides of the animation, and that's why most people sit there and consider like Wreck-It Ralph as a proxy Pixar film, because that has more Lasseter in it than some of the other Pixar films that come out at the same time. And then once he got booted out the door for no good reason, that's when shit just kind of went completely downhill. Like Brave and some of those movies are kind of the turning point of where things went completely wrong. Which just sucks, because Pixar arguably had probably one of the even longer than Marvel, if you think about it, successful runs as a studio. I mean, they did not really have any flops or big missteps until that dinosaur movie and Brave and all that kind of stuff is really when it started to really kind of go downhill for them. Because I'm stretching to think of anything prior to that really fell apart for them, and I can't.
Yeah, the Pixar brand, which used to be the strongest that Disney had. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. it's going the way of the dogs right now.
And for well over 20 years, they were pretty strong going. So
yeah, they had a good run, but Disney today,
different company.
Yeah, exactly.
Different company, different policies. And then we got Thorin Volmika. Am I saying that correctly?
Thorin Valomieka, who sounds like he's from Finland.
Yes.
So, yeah.
For 6 months at the Midnighter level. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate that. Michael Miller says, why does Hollywood always get two options in front of them and choose the wrong option every single time? Also, Ms. Marvel seems to have flopped. So I don't know, LOP or LOL. I watched the first 5 minutes of Ms. Marvel. It sucks Captain Marvel's dick so hard that I couldn't stand watching it anymore. Like, I couldn't even, I'm sitting here, it's like, all I remember her doing in the movie is getting her ass handed to her by Thanos. I don't remember all this other shit.
Well, that's
and it paints it like she basically saves, it paints her like she saves the Avengers' ass in Endgame. Or Infinity, whichever one.
Should that just be how Miss Marvel views Captain Marvel?
It is, but at the same time, It is, but at the same time, I'm just like,
recognize it as like this is a little girl who.
It doesn't matter for me. It was a turnoff. It just to instantly start it that way without any context was just really kind of. And I've heard good things about the series. That's not the point.
I've heard really good things about it too, and I've heard it from people I would not expect to hear it from. But if you give it the chance, the writing is actually really, really solid. That's what I'm hearing. So I'll check it out one of these days. But,
and it's meant for young adults, which is fine. I've watched it, but I'm not going to rewatch Miss Marvel. I think there will be many young adults, teens and early young adults who will love this show, and they'll rewatch it 100 times. But I don't see anybody over the age of 40 really kind of, watching that on a regular basis.
Yeah, as Chuck Brewer points out, this show isn't made for you, Tom. It's targeted at teen girls and is well made. That's what I'm thinking too. I mean, I often say this.
That may be fine, but I can't stand Captain Marvel, and to have this big, huge Captain Marvel fest in the first 5 minutes was just a big turnoff for me as a fan.
Yeah, and I see that point, but we're not the target audience for this. I just and that's fine. The most important thing is that it's good for those that it's made for, and if it can achieve that, perfect. I'm glad. I want everything to be good, and for the people whom that it is made for to enjoy it. And if that isn't me, well, so be it. Or Tom, for that matter. And let's move on with a couple of more super chats before we get into the next topics, which are more DC related, because we have both Amber and Ezra, the gifts that keep on giving. So moving on with the super chats, before we get there. We have Callum Lyle, who continues with what he said before. I said to them, Hordak's evil. This is what evil beings do. But then you people seem to be turned on by relationships that use the app. And maybe the She-Ra fan base do that. Who knows? And Valiant Renegade is in the chat, and he says for $5, Lightyear opened to 1.1 million less in Thursday previews than Sonic 2 in summer, with every kid out of school. LOL Disney, LOL. Minions might kill this film.
And it's because parents don't want to go to a film where they know there might be scenes that they don't want their children to see. And it's not like you're at home where you can turn the TV off. You're in a theater. How are you going to control? I've seen groups of families with their kids. What are they going to do? Walk out of the theater if there's something they don't want to see in it? And to be honest with you, that's what's keeping them away from the film, is that there is something in it that they don't want their children to see. So, that is something to think about.
Minions ain't going to just kill it. It's going to demolish it.
Yeah. And
kids love Minions.
Lightyear is failing in Pride Month and everything. What a shame. But anyway, Valiant,
I even couldn't help but
if you have the opportunity to hop on.
Yeah, he has it. I couldn't even help but chuckle when I saw Jurassic World. They showed the trailer for the new Minion movie, and there was even some bits that even made me chuckle. I'm just like,
Tom? You remember
There was just some, I can't remember. There was a couple bits that just really got me going.
She's an acupuncturist, and the person is laying down, and she's fighting using the person's body by using acupuncture points. It's the cutest thing.
I think the bit that made me laugh the most is when they were realizing that the minions are basically indestructible.
It's good. It looks like fun.
And I just love their dialogue, their little gibberish dialogue that they come up with. Like, it's hilarious. Darren Hughes says, "Hail Midnight's Edge, mods and chat. In these days, when everything is sequels, prequels, and remakes, is it because current Hollywood lacks the creativity to come up with something new, or because everything possible has been created, or what?" No, well, look. Script Doctor and I were talking after the show last night, and he brought up a good point. There's no producers in Hollywood anymore like Robert Evans. Sure, Robert Evans was kind of like a Wizard of Oz, but at the same time, you still need that fake persona out there. You need those kind of guys out there, and that's where when I jokingly say Hollywood needs more cocaine and capitalism, I'm not really kidding. We need guys like that. We need the guys who are the high rollers, the big dealers, the guys who will take a chance on something like Chinatown and Godfather. You know what I mean? That we don't have those kind of guys anymore. And I don't mean just men. I mean, producers in general, like it can be women as well. Don't get me wrong. Because there's been some very great big maverick producers that have been women too. Laura Schuler Donner is one that comes to mind right off the bat. But I mean, I think maybe that's the problem, is where we need more Jerry Bruckheimers and Don Simpsons, and maybe we need less Kevin Feige's. As great as he was for a while, it kind of like how Scream changed the horror franchise, Andre. Looking back on it in hindsight, Kevin Feige in the Marvel Universe kind of changed movies as a whole.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know if it's for the better. I think absolutely. Martin Scorsese's right when he says that those kind of movies are not cinema anymore. I get what he's saying.
But there is one more aspect to this that I always like to bring up as well. This, very much so, is ours, as in the movie-going audience's fault as well. And here's why. Us, the movie-going audience, whenever there is an original movie released, and that happens every single week, there is multiple new original movies released. None of us go to see them. Instead, we wait for months and months and months, ignoring tens, up to hundreds of completely original movies while we wait for the next Marvel movie, the next DC movie, the next big budget sequel, remake, or reboot, what have you not. This is something that we, the general movie-going audience, do, because that is a brand that we are familiar with. And since that is the case, all of the entertainment media complex, they also write about these things that they know that there is an interest in. So they give a ton more interest to all of the remakes, sequels, comic book movies, and they largely tend to ignore the original movies that there are. And then you have like this vicious cycle in a way, where then even those movies are the ones that get funded, because they're the ones that get the free press, they're the ones that get the attention, they are the ones that the audience vote for with their wallets. So actually, original movies come out every single week, and releasing one, especially a big budget one, that isn't based on a prior brand, that isn't a sequel, that isn't a comic book movie, it's a huge gamble. Because, yeah, sometimes you have something original that knocks it out of the park, but that is the exception, not the rule. If there is a rule, it is you invest a lot of money in something original, audiences are going to ignore it. It's not going to make any money, and the trades are going to ignore it too. So this is something where everyone is responsible. It's not a matter of Hollywood lacking creativity. If they wanted to make, hell, they want to do that. I mean, very few in Hollywood actually wants to do all these sequels, remakes, comic book movies. They hate them. Many in Hollywood actively hate the blockbusters that people go to see, but that's where the money is. And that's the audience's fault.
And Andre, even with films out there that are being made that are not, Marvel films, the marketing campaigns don't seem to be in place anymore. You don't hear about a lot of these independent films as well, or even these B films. And you used to see advertisements everywhere, for film, but it doesn't seem to be the case anymore. How do people even know what's out there anymore?
That's exactly it. I mean, that's part of the marketing game. It doesn't get the free press. Then they have to spend all the more money in marketing to compensate. Is it worth it? Will they get that money back again? There you have like a negative cycle right there.
Yeah, that's the big thing is they're generally going to take more of a chance on a big tentpole superhero movie because they think they may make more money off it that way. Callum Lyle says also the rainbow, not the bridge, is on the newest Thor poster. So my theory on Jane and Token Valkyrie seemed to be true, and I blame that Legend of Korra cartoon, which is patient zero for sexuality swaps at the last minute. I'm not too familiar with Legend of Korra, but yeah, I've heard of it.
The love part is actually not between Thor and Jane.
There's been a lot of speculation on that.
Yeah, I imagine how progressive if he gets like bummed out because the ladies of the movie find each other.
That's kind of what some people are speculating upon.
Yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. I'm not so sure they'll go that far, but we'll see. Gonzalo Bergali says TMNTC SR for senior. You can switch, Tom. You have to leave the world map, and then that makes you the character selection screen. Okay.
That takes you to the character.
Yeah, I noticed that because they kind of mixed a map with it that's kind of like the first NES game of TMNT, but it's actually kind of more like Mario Brothers 3. You know how you can go through the world map and take different directions. So yeah, I kind of figured that out, but yeah, that makes more sense. Cool. Thanks for that tip. Then we got Callum Lyle who says, even this day, I'm still pissed off how that series ended and shipping. And I grew up watching Airbender. If you don't know anything, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not a big Airbender fan. All I know is that
I know nothing. So
I know that Kathleen Kennedy produced the movie that was M. Night Shyamalan directed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buzz VA, well, voice artist, Jesus. Chris Evans calling people who were critical of the Kiss idiots, says Mecha J. Probably won't help Lightyear's box office. Well, here's the thing: is everybody who's seen it. Here's the thing: is I've talked to some people who saw it prior to this, and they sadly said that the movie isn't even that bad. It's just the fact that it's just pointless. It's pointlessly in there, like it's just kind of shoved in there, half-heartedly or not even heartedly.
It's a virtue signal.
Exactly. So like it's kind of dumb that they've done it, and I mean, I think the reason they're sticking. Here's the weird thing: is I think they're sticking to their guns, and it was meant to be cut out. But now that they've been called out over the Chinese poster and some of the other shit they've done, I think that they know if they keep doing it, they're going to get, just keep getting called out for it. So they kind of are stuck in a corner right now of leaving it in. You know what I mean? Like they can't take it out.
Yeah.
Darth Zium, if I'm saying that right, or Exium?
Darth Zium, I guess.
Yeah. Hi all. Will GRRM, George R.R. Martin, have anything to do with the sequel?
Don't know. We don't know.
I know. I'm going to say, I don't know if he will, but I know he was still pretty tight with, or at least it was.
I guarantee you that
with HBO on that part,
but to have him on as a producer, just
consultant of some type, yeah,
and seal of approval, possibly have him consult something like that. So it has not yet been announced, but I can almost guarantee you that he will have a symbolic association. If he has anything more than that I don't know. Maybe they'll go to him and say, you know what I would think that they do? I would think that they would go to him and they say, look, we know that you gave those two idiots notes for season 6, 7, and 8. How about you give us some new, updated, revised notes now that you see how they botched it? Just ignore the books. Just give us something new to go on. What happens from here? I would not be surprised if they were to do that. In fact, I'd be surprised if they didn't do that. And with that, we have a few super chats
Yeah.
left. But Tom, how say we move into the next orders of the day here? Because
let's do that. First and foremost, I don't know. Did you catch the Good Morning America report about the juror?
I did. I caught how they misrepresented some stuff even.
How about you,
I did not. I'm sorry. I didn't catch it.
Okay, let me see if I can bring it up here. Because it's only like, like a few minutes here. Let's see here. So
yeah, let's talk about the juror. And this is now a confirmed juror that still remains anonymous, but the TV channel in question know who it is, and that it is actually a juror who goes on to share a little bit more about the thought process of the jury. So let's hear this.
Depp Amber Heard defamation trial. Speaking out for the first time about the verdict, Trevor Arlt here with the story. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, George. You know, this trial had the whole world watching and debating every question, every claim. And this morning, we have exclusive insight into what the jury was thinking. Now, we agreed not to reveal his identity or juror number, so you won't see his face or hear his voice. But he revealed a lot about how these multi-million-dollar decisions were made.
This morning, an ABC News exclusive. New details from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial from a member of the jury who says a lot of Amber's story didn't add up, and the majority of the jury felt she was more the aggressor.
He balled up his fists, leaned back, and headbutted me square in the nose.
But never did I myself reach the point of striking Ms. Heard in any way.
The juror, one of 5 men on the 7-person jury, said Heard's emotional testimony was not realistic.
I want to move on with my life.
The crying, the facial expressions that she had, the staring at the jury, all of us were very uncomfortable.
Yeah, she freaked them out.
Answer one question and she would be crying, and 2 seconds later she would turn ice cold.
You were saying, Andrew, you might as well pause it for a minute anyway, just to kind of make it transformative.
This only goes to show that the jury is consisted of regular human beings that are able to recognize a manipulator and a shit actress when they see one. One who cannot. Here's like the thing. She's obviously like a movie and TV actress, because in her mind, the moment when she was done delivering her performance, she pretended that someone said, "Cut," so you can relax and go out of character right there.
It's funny. That's exactly what Script Doctor said last night.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that, really.
That's what he said. He's like, he put it this way, though. It was pretty much the same sentiment, though. He's like, what she feels like is like when you're watching someone and they're resetting for a take after somebody says cut. Like, you get yourself into the take, and then, like, because she could just turn it off and on. Because we talked about how difficult and different it is that certain actors, especially crying, the act of crying, and how each one approaches it. Like I brought up, I had an acting coach when I was in that stuff, like would basically say, like, if you have a problem, crying on command or mustering up the emotion, the easiest thing to do is stare at the brightest light for as long as you can without blinking, and you'll eventually tear up. But as we pointed out, that's where you get the fake tear look, and that's where the tear comes out about center of your cheek there, and it's supposed to come out of your tear duct. He goes, but so like we talked about how, when real actors really get into it, some can do, turn it on and off, but then other times they have to get really into it. So it can take a good half hour, 45 minutes after they're done to get out of that, right? Like, it's not the easiest thing for them to do, because they have to dive into like a very deep and dark place sometimes to get there. And for her to be able, just the way she was acting was just exactly that. And it's funny that Andre said that, and especially Script saying it, considering he's witnessed it, right? Like, he's been on the set. He's seen actors do this very thing. And that's what he said, is it reminded of him when they're just resetting to take another take.
Exactly. Well, that's what I think. I think that she approached it as an actress approaching a role. And she knew, now I have to hit the scene. And then she figured, now I hit the scene. Now someone else is talking. Now it's like back to the lawyer. Now I can relax. Cut.
Yep.
Reset for next scene.
And the swing, and that's what he was talking about here, was the swing in her emotions. So
some of us use the expression crocodile tears.
I didn't think he knew what he was doing. I don't know how. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
On Depp's side, a lot of the jury felt what he was saying at the end of the day was more believable. He just seemed a little more real in terms of how he was responding to questions. His emotional state was very stable throughout.
It could begin with, throwing a TV remote at my head. It could be throwing a glass of wine in my face.
The juror said the revelation Heard had not donated her $7 million divorce settlement to charity was a fiasco for her.
Oh, yeah.
You still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety. I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another.
She goes on a talk show in the UK. The video shows her sitting there telling the host that she gave all that money away. And the terms she used in that video clip were, I gave it away. I donated it. It's gone.
So clearly that stuck out in their minds, even though we felt like they didn't hit it hard enough, Andre. I know you and I both agreed on that.
Yeah,
but it clearly did.
And I don't remember if that TV show was Danish or Dutch right now in this moment, but whoever it is, they must be so annoyed that no one can get the country right, ever.
Poor Dane
Fact is,
wishes.
he didn't give much of it away at all. He also disputed Heard's attorney's claim the jury was influenced by social media, saying, we followed the evidence. Myself and at least 2 other jurors don't use Twitter or Facebook. Others who had it made a point not to talk about it.
See, here's one that bothered me too, because this is something that I say all the time. Remember, there is, and now we know it's less than 300 million people on Twitter, right? And probably even less than that, or roughly the same on Facebook. And a lot of them are probably the same users. There is 8 billion people in the world. Twitter is not real life. Twitter is not the arbiter of everything. Not everybody uses Twitter. Less people that I know in my life use Twitter than actually use it. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that, but yeah, that's something I think that she completely didn't understand. But yeah,
is that both Amber, obviously, she thinks that Twitter is real life because she comes from the Hollywood bubble where Twitter is treated like real life, and it's incomprehensible to them that this is simply not the case. And if a judge tells a jury stay off social media, then it's not going to be too difficult for an average member of the population outside of the worst of Hollywood to actually do that.
And no, Rob Altus, you cannot pledge a super chat. Just saying. He asked if he could. So you could, but it's not going to make a difference. Well, I was going to say, yeah, you can pledge it, but that doesn't mean we're going to actually read it.
Yeah, like we're not going to get it. Might as well make it proper.
I'm just kidding. Anyhow, here we go.
Ultimately, what I think is truthful was that they were both abusive to each other.
Pause
I don't
it
think
right
that
there.
makes either of them right or
Yeah.
wrong.
Right there, Tom.
But to rise.
Go back like 3 seconds. Because that
to the
right
level
there,
of what she was. What I think is
a little bit more.
truthful was that they were both abusive to each other.
pause now. Okay, what I mean is like, look there was the rest of a quote.
I don't think
They
that
were
makes
both
either of them right.
abusive to each other, ... indicating here they have made a cut. That cut is something that contextualized that quote. What they said, what they chose to highlight for all of the world to see was this part of the quote with the jury member saying, I think that they were both abusive to each other. This is running cover for Amber. That is not what the juror said at all. I have the full quote right here. I'm going to bring it up on screen so that we can put that into context ourselves. And see what they did not tell us. I'm just going to see.
While you're doing that, I'm going to read this. Sean Carter says, so sick of this performance of a lifetime BS. First year high school play production students do a better job than she did. Yeah, Sean, I know a lot of people have been misinterpreting this. I have to remind people that the saying performance of a lifetime is not a good thing.
It's used ironic.
Exactly.
It's used as you're going to see the worst overacting you will ever have seen.
Thank you.
That is what they mean to say. It's when people say performance of a lifetime, they're not talking about in the Al Pacino sense here. They're talking about you're going to see the overacting. That's what they mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely.
As I pointed out the other day, like that's what I used to say to my kid when he was, getting over dramatic when he wanted something or didn't want to do something or whatever. We're like, oh no, now I'm going to get the performance of the lifetime. Here's your Oscar, and that would just piss him off even
more. Yeah. And I got the quote here.
Yes. Okay. So you got the quote. All right.
I have the quote, and the full quote is we can take the super chat off
grab
the
that
right now.
There we go. Thank you, Sean. By the way. I was just thanking Sean again for the super chat.
Yes, thank you. And the full quote is, the jury concluded they were both abusive to each other, but Heard's team failed to prove Depp's abuse was physical. They had their husband-wife arguments. They were both yelling at each other. This is what they mean when they say they were both abusive to each other. They were yelling. I don't think that makes either of them right or wrong. That's what you do when you get into an argument, I guess. But rise to the level of what she was claiming, there wasn't enough or any evidence that really supported what she was saying. So I think that's really significant, because here was a quote where they highlighted that's making the rounds all over the world right now, which is basically mutually abuse. But when you look at the full quote, what he's talking about is a regular couple yelling at each other.
Not to talk about it.
Whenever
he said ultimately
someone does, it's a mutual abuse. Anyway, carry on.
No, I just backed it up a little bit so we can see how they present it here, just so you can kind of see the difference in how the media presents things sometimes.
What I think is truthful was that they were both abusive to each other. I don't think that makes either of them right or wrong. But to rise to the level of what she was claiming, there wasn't enough or any evidence that really supported what she was saying.
You see there, they cut out the whole bit about
the context is completely gone. Yeah.
The context is gone there. So let's do it one more time. Full quote
and he also was truthful. Myself and at least two other.
Okay.
Yeah.
I back that up.
Full quote again. The jury concluded they were both abusive to each other, but Heard's team failed to prove Depp's abuse was physical. They didn't have that. And then here's a completely missing beat. They had their husband-wife arguments. They were both yelling at each other. That they completely omitted. And then they continued with that makes either of them right or wrong. That was pretty significant omission.
No, they left out the rest of that too.
Yeah. So yeah, that was really bad omission, you ask me.
We'll actually have it here again because as you'll see, it's completely changed around.
Don't use Twitter or Facebook. Others who had it made a point not to talk about it. He said, ultimately, what I think is truthful was that they were both abusive to each other. I don't think that makes either of them right or wrong. But to rise to the level of what she was claiming, there wasn't enough or any evidence that really supported what she was saying. He added that he believed Johnny did not hit Amber.
And he also revealed the jury was given no guidance on the amount of money that both stars were awarded. He said each juror threw out a number that they thought was fair. And notably about the attorneys, he said he thought Depp's team was sharp, while Heard's team had sharp elbows, meaning they were abrupt. They frequently interrupted. Now, Heard, of course, does plan to appeal this, and Depp is about to be back in court with these same lawyers for a separate case. He's accused of assaulting a manager on a movie set back in 2017. Guys.
Okay, Trevor, thanks. Let's bring in our chief legal analyst, Dan Avers. And Dan, I guess it's common
sense. Do you want to keep
that
watching it, or do you want me to?
No, I think we got to the main point here.
Okay. Yeah, he just kind of gives his side of his analysis on it. So yeah, speaking of analysis, what's your thoughts on everything after hearing what that juror had to say?
Well, it's nice that the juror is willing to share what they discussed and what was important to the jury, because there's been a lot of speculation as to what the juries have been discussing and what they decided to pay attention to and not pay attention to. And very clearly, this juror is saying that, they essentially felt Amber was lying on the stand. And we know that she was, because she perjured herself. But they went so far as to say that from the quote, he says they don't believe that Johnny ever even hit Amber. And I think that certainly does speak volumes. And from that comment alone, I can see how if Amber was aware of what the jury was saying or what they were discussing as to why she would go ahead and do this extra interview that she's done where, where she says, even if you think that I'm not, telling, or you don't believe me, or that I'm not telling the truth, you shouldn't say things about me online.
I believe the actual quote was, even if you don't believe what I'm saying, you can't say that I deserve the vitriol that I'm getting on social media.
She's trying to connect this idea of her having continual abuse that's pretty much been made up, because what she's saying that isn't really happening. People are just disgusted by the fact that she's lied. So, it's not an undeserved vitriol. It is a vitriol of a person who has lied and caused a court case to occur. And, all this money and time spent on this, wasting, Johnny Depp's time, wasting the entire entertainment community's time, people who depend on these films to go through. She's, set back a lot of people because of this. So it's not vitriol because it is actually true. What has resulted from this, something that's resulted from this, is that it's affected hundreds of lives of people who work in the industry. And a lot of people lost money because of all of this. So, it's more than just what has happened and she's been lying in this particular case. It has this effect going all the way down to everyone else who depends on this for a living. So there's that consideration as well. But I also think that maybe she knew that someone had said, something, I think the jury is saying that they don't believe what you're saying about being hit, and they believe Johnny over you. And once she realized that this was the situation for her and her reality, she has to do damage control. And, the paraphrasing of her quotes, they're not fully paraphrased, but the chopping up of the quotes to make the story appear to be even-sided. We know it wasn't even-sided because of what the juror has actually said, but more importantly, what was awarded in court monetarily. There was more weight to what Johnny received than what she received, because they believed more of what he had to say than what she had to say. And so that was also reflective in the settlement. But I think that she is going to continue, we're going to see more reports. We're going to see these same kind of chopped up reports about what happened. And as an aside, at the end, they'll say, well, we didn't believe that Johnny hit her. We didn't believe that. They'll kind of mumble it very, very low, but that should have been the first thing coming out of the gate, shouldn't it?
It should have, because that was really important.
That Johnny ever struck this woman. We didn't believe it. I don't believe it.
Well, he actually said it twice, and they only mentioned it once in the report. Yeah.
And it is kind of sad that wasn't, because I felt like that was the most important thing that came out.
Because the other part of that, they said, is they didn't believe that she presented enough evidence to support it. And the other thing is I think is important to point out, is he says the term "most of us." So that does support the fact that we heard that there was at least one or two holdouts.
Yeah, and it makes sense there would be holdouts.
That's why she got her tiny little consolation prize.
I think so.
But also, they pick these juries, and we hope that it's a diverse group of people with different ideas and different opinions, different backgrounds. So we're going to expect people to disagree on a jury. It's not always going to be, they're going to debate, they're going to talk, and that's okay. We know going into that's the reality of being on a jury like this. But the fact that they were able to come to these settlement amounts was important. I still am a little confused by the idea of her being awarded $2 million.
It was because they saw that the one claim by his lawyer, what was it, Walden, was seen as salacious and defamatory. Mm-hmm. Because basically it was untrue. Even though he may not have known that at the time.
Yes.
That's where some people were positing that was like a gimme to that one juror who was a holdout for Amber.
Right.
Because they probably didn't like that Johnny had said some mean, nasty things to her. So,
I still think they should have turned down the fact that she was going to be awarded $2 million and just told them that, we're not going to go for that. And then they would have had to settle it another way. But, this is how it worked out. And, for some reason, they don't want, or at least they don't want to focus on the news report, the fact that he was not physically abusive towards her. And I think that's, unfortunate. I just can't imagine why they wouldn't lead with that. And I had thought, and I had kind of speculated that we would see an interview from Johnny, but maybe he shouldn't come out and say anything because
I don't think he will for a while.
Not to do so. He's smart not to do so. This is good. This only shows that he is the bigger man.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
he did his little statement, but I don't think he's going to do anything more.
And that's quite sufficient until he's ready to do much more.
Because he's got another trial coming up here, so I think he's going to stay quiet till that's all taken care of.
Exactly. And Tom, you brought the super chat up on screen. So
I did, because I said let's grab these super chats that have to do with this story before we move into our last story after getting through the super chats here. Mental illness is no joke, says Joel Rees, and thank you so much for the 5 euros. Says I can't tell at this point if she's delusional enough to double down or there's malice and she has to stick to her story. That's funny. I asked that umbrella guy this exact same kind of question the other night, and he said it's a little bit of both. He thinks part of it is she believes that if you could see the evidence that she claims was left out, then there's no reason why you wouldn't believe her. And of course, part of it is she just can't understand or fathom why somebody wouldn't believe her, because she obviously believes part of her story. But then the other half of it is, clearly at this point it's gotten, and this is why we bring up the whole deal with, Autumn's correct. You want a diverse group of voices in the juror box, but I'd feel much better coming out of that if it was a unanimous jury, because I have a hard time looking at the case and still seeing somebody who isn't unbiased in this, still seeing it from her point of view and saying, she may be telling the truth, because she clearly isn't. She was caught in so many fucking lies, and even what's her face in that softball interview and said that. Sorry, go ahead.
That's why I was upset that they awarded the $2 million, because people will use that as sort of like a reason as to why she deserved it, because she was abused or there was something wrong. I felt that
mutual abuse, as they were trying to push with this last report here.
It certainly was not the same type of, there were different, let's say levels of abuse, if you will, verbal abuse, physical abuse. People are going to misconstrue this. If you saw that they were equally abusive to one another, or a comment like that, you can't differentiate physical from verbal. It's not specific enough to air as sort of the general statement. And the award money just could be interpreted by anybody who doesn't know the details in the case that she was given that money because she was physically abused.
Yeah, and no, the actual statement that got her the money was from Walden saying that they had roughed up the place, called the cops again, and got their story straight and all that kind of stuff. And they proved that wasn't true. So I think between it all, they kind of just called it a wash in that respect. But holy crap, Cranberry Crunch sends in 100 Canadian bucks.
Oh, awesome.
Says Encanto is solid. I am lying to my kid about Kenobi when Kenobi. Justice was served. Your programs are happily done. Happy Friday. Thank you for that, Cranberry Crunch. Thank you for the laugh on that. And you're doing God's work by keeping this crap away from your kid. As far as I'm concerned, all your kid needs to know is there's 6 Star Wars movies, 3 if anything.
What? As a parent, you are entitled to do that with your own kids. Like this isn't something that should be frowned upon in any way. Those are your kids, and you care for them, and you're making the right decisions for your family.
It's important to install good taste.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. So thank you for that very generous super chat. We appreciate that. And then let's go back to the top here again. Stony D sends in a member chat for 6 months. Viking, how do I go from celebrating 5 months last month to celebrating 3 months now? What is it with YouTube? Yeah, they've got some goofiness to how they figure this out. But yeah,
there's some weird stuff going on there.
Yeah,
somebody explained it to me once. It has to do with the amount of I can't remember. Somebody in the chat will fucking say
it made literally no sense.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense to me, but it made sense to them, so that's all that mattered. And then Darth Plato, who's been a member for 14 months, says tomorrow is June 18th. Check out the Waterloo movie. Pardon me, historical movies are kind of my thing. Oh no, I love historical films.
Oh, cool, very cool.
I think I may have even seen that one. I'd have to double check if that's the one I think I've seen. Stony D says, how did I go from Oh, we just read that one.
Yeah.
So okay, we're caught up on the member chats. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And then we've got Anthony Monaghan, who says, is there any information about Peacock's Battlestar Galactica rebooting going forward? Thanks. Not since January. But if we do hear anything, we will let you know. There's a few other people in the fellowship who follow it much better than I do, or we do here, and I'd suggest checking them out. But other than that, no, I haven't heard much new on any movement for Battlestar Galactica, but I still think they were going to do something with it. But yeah.
It's been like in development for a very long time. Personally, I would kind of hope that that it doesn't happen, although we are going on close to 20 years since the previous version. It doesn't feel that long. So there, and also there are plenty other really similar stories that they could tell. Of course, it's a matter of what Universal has the rights to. That's a different matter. But yeah.
Right. Stony D says the milestone said 3 months. When I posted it, it said 6 months. What the fuck? Happy Friday. Hell Lord Andre and Lady Tom, get some sleep. Cheers. Thank you so much. I need some sleep. Then Story to Screen Movie Review Podcast says, whatever happened to Benioff and Weiss's lucrative Netflix deal? There's no development for a while outside of the chair and 3 body problems. Thoughts?
Yeah, what do you guys have to say before I tell you the everyone the
I
answer?
haven't really followed it, and I'm just
I
thinking
haven't
that the
either.
stench has kind of between that and just they probably have hit a creative dam. I'm gonna kick my kitty out of the room. That's what all that noise is. Hang on.
Exactly. No. Any thoughts on this?
No, I'm sorry. I haven't been following it.
Yeah. Okay. Because basically what happened was that just as they were rounding out Game of Thrones, just as they got like this huge Star Wars trilogy, they were so hot and so in demand.
Yeah.
And then also Netflix, they booked them for like a deal in which they were like paid or supposed to be paid, what was like 400 million or something ridiculous, a ridiculous amount of money to develop stuff for them. And then season 8 of Game of Thrones came out and they were never heard from again. The Star Wars trilogy was cancelled and all of this Netflix stuff, it just kind of like never materialized. And here's the point. With a deal like that, and this is the same thing with the J.J. Abrams deal, when they have like this, the deal is worth 400 or 500 million or whatever it is. It's not that they get like a one cash transfer of that amount into their accounts. No, what they do is that they are supposed to develop a whole host of TV series and movies and stuff like that Netflix has the right of first refusal for. And if they pick up enough stuff within a certain time frame, then that is going to be worth 400 million. But here's the thing. If Netflix changes their mind, which they did, all they have to do is simply reject all of the stuff that they develop and not pay anything. That's what they're doing. That's what happened to it. So the deal is still very much in play. Netflix has the option to greenlight 400 or whatever number of millions worth of their stuff it is, but they also have the right to just do nothing and block everything and just wait for the deal to expire, and that's what they're doing.
I'm glad that they're waiting for the deal to expire and that they didn't get fleeced for the 400 million.
Yeah, they may have, and that might be part of the reason why they said no more of these big deals over there at Netflix too, because they're backing off big time. They're even backing off on their budgets and shit too. So we'll see. Thundercats Ho has been a member for 14 months at the Midnighter level. Thank you so very much for that, Thundercats Ho. Appreciate the support. Chad Rupnerine says, "Do you guys think Amber would go away if we just gave her an Oscar?" No, that'd probably just encourage her more.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
She's not the kind of actress who's seeking roles for that.
No.
She has a mental illness, and when I say that, I mean it literally, as in she was diagnosed by a certified practitioner psychiatrist, not a board-certified useless politician that was Dr. Hughes, but the actual practitioner, Dr. Curry, diagnosed her with not one, but 2 personality disorders. And what these personality disorders equate to is, well, basically you're a succubus. That's one thing. And she's never, ever going to go away. That's the other thing. Giving her an Oscar isn't going to do anything. She's still going to be resentful and hate him and try to destroy him forever. No matter what.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you feed a bear.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
they just want more.
It's true, and she's doing the interview. Was it this week that the interview aired with Samantha? I can't remember the
Guthrie.
It's today. Right. So far, they've aired like longer and longer clips, but it's today that the full interview airs.
Yeah, it's supposed to be on Dateline tonight, so that's not for like another 10 hours or whatever, or 9 hours. But yeah,
Dateline.
I think it's on Dateline.
Dateline.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I think they're gonna give the whole show to that because it's like an hour interview. But yeah, Samantha Guthrie or whatever her name was. Yeah.
I bet that all of the live watch parties of it are going to attract more viewers than the show itself.
Yeah. Yes. I'm just surprised.
You're probably right. And not only that, I'm curious to get your response to this because we brought this up the other day. Mm-hmm. That Umbrella guy brings up a very interesting point about this whole Amber Heard interview. He compared this to like if they turned around and gave Chris Brown an hour interview after we saw those pictures of Rihanna. Mm-hmm. How would people have reacted to that?
Well, they would have been very upset and, just shocked. I think they would have been shocked by an interview like that and appalled. And I'm not going to say, I'm not quite sure what the purpose of this interview is other than, as I said before, just so
she wants to relitigate this in the public eye. Yeah.
And also she wants to become, the symbol of this entire thing. And she's just going to keep going. She's not going to stop, especially after this interview. I'm not quite even sure what her objective is at this point. And as I said before, I felt that she really needed to eat some humble pie and just kind of, forget about this now. But, she's just going to keep pressing on, and she's still young. This has really kind of derailed her, aside from what she's suffering from. It's sad that she's keep going with this. And, at some point, I think it's going to fully consume her, and, it's going to make her even more unstable because, she can't keep going on this. It's almost becoming like a personal mission for her. And, she's just determined that she has to let everyone know about it. So I guess maybe she'll continue on with the network news interviews. I don't even know how many people watch the network anymore. What are the ratings for Dateline? I mean,
more people will be watching the live streams, watching Dateline than will actually be watching Dateline.
Yeah, is she even aware that people don't really watch network television?
They probably paid them the most money, though. There's going to be a big boost for Dateline.
They paid.
I heard upwards in the 200,000 range. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, maybe they did pay her a lot of money, but
obviously, no, guaranteed. They were the highest bidder.
She's determined to just keep going, and it's obviously already been filmed, so we know that much. But I'll never forget, and I think it was with you all, that the faces on some of the hosts on the network who, after they were watching the advertisement for the interview, and Hoda Kotb, who was one of the hosts, her face was just astonished, and the other gentleman who was there was like, what is this? It's not exactly the type of thing I think should be on Dateline. Now, if Dateline were going to say that there was some other topic about her, meaning her mental illness, as you both have mentioned, or some other wellness issue regarding this, and they were going to talk about that, I think that would be an interesting approach. But we both know that it's just going to be chat about the case. So, I think that they're going to want to rehash the moments when we know it's already been settled, and how she's going to go back to talk about it again and how it's not right and she's being vilified. But the reason why people are having this reaction to her is because she wasn't telling the truth.
Yeah.
Well, and at this point, like I said, I think she's just trying to relitigate this in the public eye. That's what it is.
Exactly. Because she can't let go. And then Big Daddy MRI, new wrench, says for $20. Thank you so much. With respect to the Lightyear movie, the kiss is not much to talk about, really. It is the plot of the story that will turn away moms and dads with little kids. If the movie flops, Chapek has the ammo he needs. Pixar is going to be fired there.
Yeah, that could be. Mega J says, do you guys think Johnny will get some restraining orders on Amber since she is very determined not to let this go? Well, I don't know about this restraining orders, what those would do necessarily.
Not do anything.
Could she get some kind of gag order?
Which he's not going to listen to?
He could turn around and re-sue her again.
That's more likely.
If she keeps it up, that's likely what's going to happen. Because there was a point where we were hearing reports that he was thinking of dropping a large portion of the amount that he owed her. But I'm sure that was totally... sorry, yeah, that's what I meant. But I'm sure that a lot of that was hung up on the fact that she had to keep her fucking mouth shut going forward and not talk about this anymore or cash in on this anymore. And she probably saw it as more of an opportunity not to do it that way. She's going to regret it in the end, but she's going to ride this pony for till it's dead and in the ground.
But is there going to be a situation where she gets a, like a Lifetime movie or a TV movie and it's told from her point of view and maybe
I'm sure.
And it's not necessarily true like the way that it's being shown.
Movies are under no obligation to tell the truth. Neither are Lifetime movies, so guaranteed it's going to be one where at least one that's going to.
You mean that dog don't talk?
Yeah, I mean, shocking as it may sound, but yeah, I'm sure it's going to be like a Lifetime movie in which everything is told from her imagination, with an actor beating her up and everything like that.
Yeah,
and then there's going to be another one from JD's point of view where we see her sitting on the bed taking a dump. So you're going to have everything.
I don't think he would do that. I don't think that's his style.
He doesn't have to do it. It's a public domain story. Like some other network is going to get some of the jury's point of view, and then they're going to do a dramatization, and JD has really nothing to do with it because he doesn't own the story. But both of those are going to happen, I guarantee you. Because, again, movies are under no obligation to be truthful, even those based on a true story. If anything, less so. I mean, just consider, like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is inspired by real events.
Don't get me started by that.
Inspired being, we pulled this out of our ass for the most part, and we took a tiny little bit from the same dude that also inspired Psycho. Tiny little bit. That's the same story behind both of them.
I had gotten into an argument with somebody online that was so asinine about this. Because, they're like, oh, it's a true story. It's based on this, that, and the other. I'm like, in what fucking world? Like, that's bullshit. And they're like, and then they were going on about the remake shit. And I'm like, you do realize that this is a remake of a movie already, right? Yeah. Go ahead and grab the next one, Andre, if you can. I was looking for one we may have missed.
Master Clockwork said for $5. Anyone else sometimes feel like Picard when he was being tortured? There are only 4 lights. 3 Indiana Jones films and 6 Star Wars films. Well, actually, here's the thing, though. I think plenty of people feel like that because you're all being gaslit by the media all the time about everything.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be the only one feeling that. Then we have Anthony Monaghan, who says for Euro 99, will the Expanse series move forward in some form? I don't know. Tom, do you know? Have you heard anything?
I've not heard any news. I thought the last I had heard was something like there was supposed to be something in the works, but that was it. Again, I can't speak to that. Midnight Sun says, hello everyone. Would Disney handle that Ezra Amber situations any differently? Resist a Darth Sidious-like control of a free press. Free Assange.
Hashtag free Assange.
We're going to get into the Ezra stuff and how would Disney handle it. I think they would have got rid of Ezra and Amber already. But that was under Iger. That was under Iger just because of going off of what they did, how the knee-jerk reaction to Roseanne and James Gunn, for instance, and Tim Allen, for that matter, who also kind of got railroaded. But that's actually that's our last story of the day. We're going to kind of touch
Yeah,
upon.
let's get into that right now. Since we have the super chat with Ezra and Amber. Everyone, of course, knows the Amber story, but the Ezra story just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse, doesn't it, Tom? What's the most recent thing to happen there? Do share.
Well, it turns out he's on the run. Let me see if I can bring this story up here.
Yeah, because he's on the run because apparently.
Well, who'd have thought it was a protection order to get the Flash to actually run? But anyway,
because he's on the run with a girl who is now 18, but that he has been how shall we put it? The word
accused of
G and ends with room.
He's been accused of brooming. Let's say.
He's been accused of brooming this girl who is now 18 since she was 12.
And this individual did come out on a social media post and claim she was fine. But that's neither here nor there, because that's kind of up for debate. And I refer you to Fat Steven Seagal for the reporting on that. That kind of brings the parents into the light a little bit more in that respect. But this is a completely different situation here.
Because there's another.
This is what they're actually going after him for. They're trying to get a protection order filed against him because he's accused of inappropriate behavior with a 12-year-old.
With another 12-year-old.
Yeah, this is somebody who is 12 now.
Yeah, so this is another one from the one who is now 18 and who he started grooming when she was 12. So this is another one who
We're
is
seeing a
right
pattern
now
here,
that he's just started grooming.
And according to the mother, Ezra told the mother they would be lucky to have someone like me to guide them. Hot off the heels of having, and this comes to us via Bounding into Comics, and Daily Beast, I think, broke this story originally. Hot off the heels of having one granted against him based on the accusations of alleged grooming. I went and said it and didn't mean to. The Flash and Fantastic Beast star Ezra Miller now has a second protective order issued. So that's 2 now. That's what we're trying to say. This is a new one against their persons. This time on behalf of a 12-year-old child who claims that the actor... Now, these are the words of the actual child. That they are scared to be around them. News of the latest protective order against Miller was first reported on June 16th by the Daily Beast, who respectively gleamed over their information after having reviewed a copy of the protection order signed by a judge who spoke with the 12-year-old, who identifies as non-binary and, as such, has not had their birth gender identified by the outlet. Their mother and another neighbor who wasn't present. So this comes from... So there was another person to back up their story, is what's going on here. Daily Beast senior entertainment editor Marlo Stern, who authored the initial report, also noted that he had reviewed contemporaneous text messages sent by the mother and neighbor, as well as photographs and corroborated parts of their accounts of the night in question, though chose not to release the names of those involved for privacy reasons. The incident at the center of the legal request occurred on February 2nd, when Miller was allegedly visited the 12-year-old's home in order to hang out with them, their mother and the family's neighbor, the latter of whom knew the actor through bandmate and Miller's close friend Whitney Suiters. According to the neighbor, when Miller arrived that evening, the actor was wearing bulletproof vest, and I had no idea until later that they were armed. Miller's emotions eventually flared when the child's mother recalled how she recently done some traveling with her tribe, used as slang in reference to a group of friends rather than any sort of Native American community, to which the actor snapped and accused her of cultural appropriation. As the night continued, the actor would once again make an attempt at critical race theory-based virtual signaling when, after asserting that the board game Parcheesi owed its roots to the Rastafari religion, the neighbor, himself half-black, asked Miller to identify which exact Rastafarian sect lent their influence to the game's creation. At this point, the neighbor told Stern, Ezra explodes and started screaming directly in my face. They said, "You don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. What did you say to me? What did you say to me?" the neighbor recalled. "I was very caught off guard." Amidst the outburst, the neighbor asserted that Miller then opened up their jacket. They had this like big Sherpa jacket, and they opened up one side of their jacket and you could see a gun. And they said talking like that could get you in really serious situation. So he's making threats on top of that. Following this confrontation, the neighbor claims that Miller turned his focus to the then 11-year-old, telling the child's mother, "I've talked extensively with your child, and they have a lot of power to them. At one point, you're going to realize that you don't have any control over them anymore," the actor said. "They're an elevated being, and they would be lucky to have someone like me to guide them." Further, Miller next moved to berate the mother, accusing her of being both a witch and a vampire due to the fact that her, as per Stern, she dresses goth. "Do you want to drink my blood?" the actor repeatedly yelled. "Do you?" Wow. Miller then reportedly...
Leave it to Ezra Miller.
This just keeps going.
Make Amber Heard, who is certified with 2 mental illnesses, to sound
He's like,
safe.
"Here, hold my fucking beer." Like, Dan, do you want me to keep going on with this? This just keeps going.
We're going to have to do a separate video on this.
I was going to say, yeah, we're running out of time now. And we do have some super chats, but yeah.
My God, this guy has issues.
Yeah, Warner Brothers has to do something.
Has issues.
Yeah.
Your first thoughts upon learning all of this stuff?
Just wondering when he's going to be fired at this point. You know, when and if.
I'm more worried about when he's going to be arrested.
Yeah, I mean, how far is this, and how long is this going to go on for, and how many people could potentially be hurt by just perpetuating, you know, what I would call this free for all for him. Just go wherever you want, do whatever you want to do. It's just alarming at what's being tolerated and how dangerous this is becoming. This is really dangerous to people, and anybody can be subject to, it seems, subject to this. That's what I'm thinking. When is it all going to be, when is it going to stop? And is someone going to do anything about this now? Because it's gone beyond the point of a cry for help. It's gone beyond that.
Oh yeah, like the ones who are crying for help right now is victims. And if they're not crying for help, it's because they're suffering Stockholm syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this has reached a whole new level now. Like,
this has reached the point where he is no longer the one that needs help. He's the one that needs to be locked up on an institutionalized for the protection of the state of Hawaii and everyone in it.
Yeah, that's why I was jokingly but honestly interjecting there. He didn't need to be more than fired. He needs to be arrested.
Yeah.
In due process at this point, because regardless, I mean, I'm sure Warner went into overdrive last week with the first allegations that came out. This is beyond.
And you know what I'm wondering? What's going to be the next one? Because for all the craziness, there's just more and more and more. And if one thinks that this stops here, this is it, now we have reached peak crazy, I think that we're still only seeing the tip of the iceberg with this dude.
I think you're right. Nightwish fan
stuff that we know about. You know, there's probably
this is what we know about
in his past that have happened, because I certainly don't think that there's only 1 or 2 at this point, because of the patterns that we've been seeing, and people have been on the watch out to report what's been going on.
Yeah, he needs to be arrested. He needs help, and then he needs to go to prison for a while. Nightwish fan says, "What did Ezra do now?" Well, on top of being accused of basically kidnapping and influencing, let's say, another young individual who is actually 18, and there's very little that the parents can do, even though they still had a protection order filed against him. Another protection order in less than a week has been filed against the actor again. This time the claims are coming from a 12-year-old and a mother, and backed up by a neighbor. So yeah, things are getting a little too hot under the collar for Ezra in this situation, if you ask me. And the Nightwish fan adds, press tour for The Flash is going to be far more interesting than the actual movie, if there is one, that is. I mean, I think the movie will still come out, but it's not going to be in the form that...
Ain't no way in hell that Michael Keaton will be sitting on a table next to this dude promoting any movie with him. Not
Exactly.
now, not after this. I mean, before he maybe could have been talked into it, but not anymore. I mean, there's going to be a press tour, right? But he's not going to be in it.
Yeah, I like this. STR Red Wolf says, well, I don't like it, but it's funny in a weird way. Ironic way. Ezra Miller doesn't have issues. Ezra has subscriptions anymore. Ezra's going to get killed or kill somebody or something. That's what I'm worried about. Mm-hmm. He's getting too far gone. ActionCom says the difference between Amber Heard and Amy Fisher: more money, more fame, and less Brooklyn accents. I shouldn't laugh. But before that, he said, remember the Amy Fisher and Botafuco story? That inspired 3 TV movies: Amy's Innocent, Joey's Innocent, and Left to Your Interpretation. I think there was more than that, actually, but yeah, you're probably right.
There were at least those 3.
At least those 3, yeah. And then Anthony Monaghan wants to know
we
did get this one.
Did that one, yeah.
And then we got Mega Wing Zero, who brings up the sad news that, yes, we just found out yesterday that comic artist Tim Sale sadly passed away at a very young age. So rest in peace, indeed. Indeed. And Cardinal Sin sent us a super sticker earlier. It was a pear and a chair spinning around. Thank you for that, Cardinal Sin. We appreciate that. And then Jason Milton says, Andre Tom, after a year of watching Marvel films, what direction is the MCU going? I don't get who is the main villain. Is it Kang, Galactus, or Doctor Doom? No, yes. No.
Yes,
no.
No, yes.
Sort of, kind of, maybe
they're setting up Kang. Don't know about Galactus, maybe. Doctor Doom, you will see probably this year.
All right, here's the answer. This is a spoiler.
Doctor Doom okay, fine. Spoiler.
This is a spoiler. Yeah. The villain of the MCU right now is Marvel.
This is true. But meanwhile, you're probably going to see Doctor Doom in the Wakanda movie.
Probably.
That's coming towards the end of the year.
Yeah. And yeah, like, at this point, they're their own worst enemies. Like, yeah, they haven't had zero direction with this phase, and that's because somebody phased out James Gunn a little too early.
Yeah.
And that really fucked everything.
And then they had to Frankenstein together a face out of nothing and scrap parts and everything like that in no time flat. And that's exactly what they did.
Isn't it funny how the same kind of shit happened between Star Wars and Marvel in a similar way, but with James Gunn on this Marvel side and Gina Carano on the Star Wars side?
Well, that goes. That's what happens.
Although that has fuck all to do with Obi-Wan, but still, that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
But
yeah, when you here's like the thing: when you have someone who is a load-bearing pillar, that's what I like to call them.
Both of them.
Gunn was a load-bearing pillar in the MCU because he was the one who was literally going to plan the next phase. Gina Carano was also a load-bearing pillar for Favreau's Star Wars.
She was a bridge,
She was planning anything. But her character was absolutely vital to his plans, to the point where his plans, as he had planned them, could not move forward without her. Mm-hmm. You go in and you remove load-bearing pillars, the whole structure collapses.
And and the only defense he had was basically refusing to recast her. So, yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. And Marvel, as far as that goes, I think it's going to meander and stumble until we get to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then maybe the next phase after that might find its footing again. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, phase 4 is a wash.
Phase 4 is a wash at this point. That's kind of where we're sitting with this. Yeah. The best thing we got out of it is No Way Home, and that's it. And did you see that we're actually getting the extended cut for that? I can't fucking believe it.
Oh, actually, wow. I'm happy because that means I can finally see the movie.
It's called the More Fun Edition or something like that.
Yeah, like New Cut, New Chances. Now I can go see it. And for those that don't know, the local distributor in Norway, because they were fucking assholes, and we had our last lockdown at the time, They decided we're just going to push this movie back now. It was supposed to come out like in 2 days, but now we're going to push it back until February when the whole rest of the world has already seen it. I was so pissed off by that I didn't go see it in protest. And I still, to this day, haven't seen Spider-Man.
Which I don't understand.
Because they ruined the whole movie for me. Like, the whole thing just became bitter. I knew everything that happened in it. I got all the spoilers. I had no need to see it.
That's
ever.
fair, but still.
Until now, there's like a new cut. I could see it in theaters. It's like, so good. This is like the only way.
Yeah, I think it comes out in September, so yeah.
I can wait that long.
Nightwish fan says, yeah, Warner Brothers PR team has to be on their 4th Jack. No shit. Like I've been getting radio silence from that end, but basically the last I'd heard was they were kind of just hoping that a lot of this Ezra stuff would kind of fizzle out so that by the time that movie come out, it would, people had forgotten. But I guess here's the thing, Andre. I sent you a story last night. There may actually be some legitimacy to Michael Keaton being in Aquaman 2. Because originally Flash was supposed to come out before Aquaman.
Well, how fantastic would that be? Because then all of his projects are fucked, aren't they?
Yeah, because then that would be another appearance we didn't even know about if that leak is true. Again, take it with a big grain of salt because it comes from Cosmic Book News, who got it from a tweet from somebody who claimed
an end credit scene or something.
I believe it was one scene early on and then an end credit scene. It said.
Yeah.
But basically, the way the story works, then that means that chronologically Aquaman comes after Flash.
Yeah,
because that goes along with that would actually then, if this is true, that would add to another reason why the Flash has to come out. Like I keep saying, this is what I was kind of told, and that is that all these other films coming up are predicated on that. Like they can't not. It's not so much that you can chance losing one film, but you can't lose all 5. So you have a problem there, and that's where they're I'm sure they're having emergency meetings left and fucking right, trying to figure out how they're going to clean up this mess.
I'm sure they're hoping for an overdose or something. It will actually solve everything much.
Oh, I know it's sad to say that, but at this point, that's about the only way you can get around this because then they can at least.
But that's what I mean. I'm sure secretly they will never admit it, but I'm sure many people there are like hoping for.
It's the only way they can get away with releasing the movie.
With the Amy Winehouse solution here.
Or Heath Ledger anyway, because in that point, then you can at least release it as his last film kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly, Ron. Yeah, death is kind of a PR move at this point. But no, I hope not that on him or anybody for that matter. But
yeah, look, we're not condoning.
No, I think his only hope.
They are probably hoping for it.
Their only chance right now is to completely reshoot the fucking movie.
Yeah.
At least the Flash bits. I mean, they can get around not having to call anybody back in. There's ways of doing it, and I'm sure that's what they're sitting down and figuring out right now. What they'll probably do is cut this bitch down to the bare minimum. Like, it'll be a quick 90-minute movie you watch. Because they're going to have to go back in and reshoot all 3 parts. And luckily, most of it will probably be able to be done in front of a green screen, and they'll be able to, like, Tig Notaro this thing in there, but it's going to be a fucking Frankensteinian abomination, as you say, Andre.
I'm looking forward to the postmortem already.
But yeah, it's like they're stuck in a corner. They can't not release this film, but they can't release it with him in it, especially now. So, yeah. There's one other option, and this was like Script Doctor was talking. You could repurpose the footage in another like a Crisis on Infinite Earth type thing or something like that, maybe. But like I said, you're still shooting a whole nother movie then because you got to film stuff around it to fix it. The other option is have the one actor that's going to end up replacing him play the one version, and that would help you not have to reshoot the other stuff. But you're still stuck, Michael, with the problem of having him in the movie. So the stench of him being in the movie is still there. So, but yeah, with that, I believe we are complete. Oh, we got one more member chat. We got Merlin Zid, who sent in a member chat. He's been a member for 12 months. Happy birthday. Awesome sauce. Says, with everything that's happening in the political establishment and entertainment establishment, I'm happy to watch these. I'm not going to say that word, burn. Keep pissing off the audience. More money for me and my cohorts. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is if you're not agreeing with this stuff, don't spend your money on it. You know, that's all you can do. Buy and go to things you enjoy, support
Vote
what you
with your
love.
wallets. That's all you can do.
Vote with your wallets. Yeah, exactly. And with that, I think we're fairly
We have
wrapped
one
up
more
for today.
Super Chan,
Do we?
because yes, we have one.
Oh,
more.
yes, we do.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Mecha J says, rest in peace to Duckman, comic creator and the real Ghostbusters artist, Everett Peck.
Oh, we had another passing I didn't know
So
about.
yeah, we have had 2 artists passing today,
Damn.
which is
the other one was yesterday, but yeah.
Unfortunate, but well, you learned about them today, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that is.
But with
that is unfortunate. But with that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's been joining us today. Everyone, please smash that like. Help share on the way out. Thanks to for joining us. Everyone, check out her channel. A link for that is, as always, in the description.
Looks like Duro says we. Looks like Duro says we missed one of his.
Okay, I can go and see if.
So yeah, while we're looking for that, what you got coming up here?
As always, on Fridays or Saturday nights, I'll be streaming with Robert Meyer Burnett on the Post Geek Singularity. And on Sunday at 10:30 a.m. in the morning, I have my Positive Fandom Sunday brunch show live. And of course, I'll be on Toxic Femmes on Monday night at 8 p.m. with you all. Sometimes on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm on the 1/6 Scale Man Network on Uncivilized Scoundrels or Say What. And of course, I always stream with Lorena on Twitch on Thursday nights on our show, Toxic Male Appreciation at 5 p.m. on Twitch.
Awesome sauce. And I don't think we got this one either. Amoy's currency?
Amoy's currency?
Ammo is currency. Ammo is currency. Ammo is currency. Ezra has become the final form of SJW. You have to read that crap? Like, Jesus Christ, man.
I think he's gone further than that, but I think he's gone to the point of no return at this point.
Oh, clearly. But, like, all this stuff where he's, like, freaking out on people, it's like, yeah, that's some major SJW bullshit there. I'm not finding Duro on anywhere here.
Neither am I.
Are you sure you sent one, Duro on? Or it went through, I mean? Sorry. So as I say, we kept up pretty well. 6 kept me up to speed until she had to take off.
I cannot see that we have received anything from Duro on. So
yeah, I'm not seeing one.
So if so, then
what was it, Duro on? Do you remember? Like, was it a sticker?
J says we didn't get one about Heard's Dateline interview. I'll check Mecha J then as well.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the other one either. I'm gonna go back and look for Mecha J too.
Yeah, I did not see any Duro on.
We got the Duckman one. There's Mecha J. Okay.
Oh, here we go. Mecha J. He said for $5.
Okay.
Her interview on Today did nothing to help her image. How much damage do you think the Dateline interview will do? Yeah, real quick. How much will
Well, it's basically the same interview. It's just the long form version. Although it will be heavily edited, I'm sure. But yeah.
Yeah. The damage has already happened. It's not going to damage anymore other than Oprah for a new lawsuit. No one believes her. Everyone sees that she's nuts.
So we didn't, and I don't see Duron hasn't said anything else in the chat.
I regret that I can't find anything here.
Yeah. Or was it a member chat or something, Duron, maybe? Or because the mods haven't said anything either in the mod chat, so I'm not.
Well, then we're just going to have to go with the monster ate it right now.
He goes, why? He was asking, why would they? How could they not? Why would I respond as an American? Is an American thing?
Oh yeah. No, I get what he's saying. I was asking, like, with Amber Heard saying, why would they? How could they not? Why would I view responses as an American thing? Yeah, because that's like a very, very thing with the English language. Like, for instance, in Norwegian, you would never say something like, why would they? You can't do that in Norwegian. And there's a whole other host of languages that you can't do that in either. But it works in English. It's very theatrical. And that's why she's saying it, because it's theatrical. That's the whole point with, why would they? How could they? oh, I'm overacting. And that's why you get statements like that. They're not natural, they're rehearsed. It's acting, and that's why you get it. And had it been in a less lyrical language, she wouldn't have said that. And then Yummy Bliss says for $5, any news of Warner rehiring Henry Cavill to play Superman? We've only heard that this is something that Zaslow wants. There's no news of it actually happening. But now there is a will to get Superman right, and I know there are those who are of the opinion that he's too old at this point. I don't agree with that. At age 39, he still looks great. He looks the part. If I were a betting man, I would say that it's going to happen. He's going to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Archangel G says for $10. The hold my beer line is mine, Tom. So yeah, I guess that you owe him some money, although he paid us to say it, so it's all even.
Oh, I'm sure that predates both of us, sir. But yes, it's hilarious. But yes, thank you so much, guys, for making this another successful week here at Midnight's Edge. I'm sure we'll have at least one more video at some point here. I think we're going to try and do something.
At least one more video coming.
Member stream. We got to do a member stream this weekend.
Of course, a weekend, Sunday probably.
Probably Sunday. So stay tuned for more news on that. Check the community tab and our Twitters for info. Check out Positive Fandom. Check out Midnight's Edge After Dark, where we've had great conversations lately. We broke a record the other night having that Umbrella guy on. It was amazing. He comes on quite often. He's been he's popped on for the last few years, so he's a good friend of ours, and I'm glad to all the guests and crew that we have over there at Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's another show we do at 6 p.m., but it is another channel altogether, so please sign up over there, or subscribe, however you want to put it. And with that, Andre, it is time for
Koalas in the Rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain.